Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. The AFC and NFC Championship games, two of these teams will be headed to the Super Bowl. And if we take a look at the Super Bowl logo, I think we know which teams those are. Guys, I'm only trolling. Let's begin with the AFC Championship game, the one happening kind of mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock in Baltimore. It is the Ravens, the number one seed, coming off an easy win over Houston. They will be battling with the Kansas City Chiefs, and last week I did go 3-1 in my head-to-head picks, 2-2 in my bets. The one head-to-head I got wrong, I thought the Chiefs would lose. Honestly, I was rooting for Buffalo. I'm just sick of the Chiefs. They've been in the Super Bowl enough. The whole Mahomes, Taylor Swift charade. But they do have a good team. Isaiah Pacheco, really good. Travis Kelce, the 2 touchdowns. And they were way more efficient than Buffalo was. Although Buffalo had multiple chances to win that game late, they didn't do it. The Chiefs, it does seem like, have a very solid defense that's only getting better as we get deeper into the playoffs. Although against Buffalo, that first half was really shaky. They were able to hold them there at the end. They are traveling on the road. This is Patrick Mahomes' second career playoff game now after last week. And this is a Baltimore Ravens team, I think. They're not going to be denied. They're at home. The Houston game, Baltimore's got a really good defense. People saying they have a suspect O-line. They're sitting -3.5 in this one. 64% chance to win according to the analytics. Give me Baltimore to win this game and cover the spread. A little bit higher scoring, 30-23. I've said it from the beginning of this season. It just doesn't feel like the Chiefs' year. I don't think they have the playmakers to beat Baltimore on the road. The Ravens, especially after what happened last week. Look, Houston, they do have a very uneven team to where they've got a really elite young quarterback and not much surrounding him, especially on the offensive line. But that Ravens defense at home in a spot against the Chiefs, we've seen the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, 20 straight years. Yes, I'm exaggerating, but it's just like, let's get something new. Could you guys imagine, though, this is setting up Taylor Swift going to the Super Bowl if the Chiefs make it, and you've got, Brittany Mahomes, the whole gang, Jason Kelce there. That's the last thing we need at this point. We want to see Baltimore. We want some new blood, although Baltimore, they did kind of recently win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. They haven't been back in a little bit. I do have them beating the Chiefs. The Chiefs, really good defense, but Baltimore's at home. They look really good. I think they cover that 3.5 point spread. Kind of a miserable spread. You'd like to see that get bet down to 3 or even 2.5. I don't know if it's going to happen, but either way, we'll take Baltimore to advance to the Super Bowl, beating Kansas City at home there. By the way, if the Bills would have beaten the Chiefs, I would have picked the Bills to beat Baltimore on the road. Just a little FYI on that. Moving on to the 6:30 game. It is the nightcap. It is on the West Coast. What a weird game this past week for the 49ers. Raining in California, really wet. They were down early. They had to come back. Brock Purdy's been really uneven in the second half of the year. They are the number one overall seed. They had the bye week. They win last week. It was a kind of a galvanizing effort, I would say, in their comeback victory over the Packers. The Packers, they've got a solid team. I thought the Packers would cover that 10-point spread. They did that. But Jordan Love, the late interception, that's not going to get it done. You can't be doing that. That's a prototypical, if you're a franchise quarterback, you drive down the field and win that game. And Jordan Love pretty much right off the bat, kind of like Baker Mayfield against the Lions, immediate interceptions on their potential game-winning drives. But you do have a Detroit Lions team. To me, this reeks of a blowout. I'm sorry. I'm going to lay it all out there. San Francisco sitting -6.5. They had a tough game, but they're galvanized. Now they're ready. They've got an elite defense. They've got way more overall talent than Detroit. Detroit, I understand they've won 2 games, but let's understand. It was against the Rams. It was very close. They won by 1 point. They didn't cover the spread. And then they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who came into the playoffs at 9-8, and they beat an Eagles team who was completely falling apart. That's the only reason the Bucs were even in that divisional game. So I look at that. It's not that Detroit's had a cakewalk, but home games against the Rams and the Bucs, it's not the hardest playoff schedule so far for the Lions. Let's not overreact to their wins. Yes, they're a great story. It's amazing they had 2 home playoff games at Ford Field. Crazy that those are the first playoff games outside of the Super Bowl back in like 2006 that Ford Field has hosted. But what I'm saying is let's not overreact to a little bit of a struggle from San Francisco. The only thing I can say that could be horribly negative about San Francisco is Brock Purdy's uneven play. Being a young quarterback, the last pick of the draft, it doesn't mean he's not talented, but it's just kind of like Brock Purdy will go through stretches where we saw the game. He was the favorite for the MVP, the 4 interceptions. Could he have a potential meltdown? I don't think it happens. I have always said, and a lot of people gloss over this, Detroit, their secondary is very suspect. Now, another thing we're going to be watching for this game is Deebo Samuel. He wanted to come back. He got injured early. Looks like he will be ready for this game. This is kind of a shot in the dark because there's still almost a week before it to prepare as I'm filming this on Monday. But I do think Deebo Samuel will be back. Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. They've got a loaded offense. They've got a loaded defense. And again, I'm smelling, and we've seen a lot of this in the past. One of these championship games always seems to be a blowout. It's not every year, but it's most years one of the games is a blowout. And it's not like this is a crazy big blowout. I saw the over-under for this game was 50.5. That seems a little rich to me based on Detroit. I mean, Detroit's offense, to be fair, has been impressive. Jahmyr Gibbs breaking out in these playoffs, but understand you're talking about home dome matchups with both the Rams and the Buccaneers traveling on the road to San Francisco. That's a different animal, and I just think San Francisco had a wake-up call in their divisional matchup against the Packers. They're going to be a lot more ready. They're going to come out firing on all cylinders, and this game could get ugly quick. Hopefully it'll be close, but I'm just smelling it based on how both of these teams got here. Feels like San Francisco, the far more talented team, and with Detroit, their first time going on the road these playoffs, San Francisco possibly winning this game and covering the 6.5. So technically, I do have both the 1 seeds. I mean, it's been pretty much chalk here. It was chalk in the divisional round outside of Kansas City upsetting Buffalo, and even that was only a 3-point spread. That would set up a Super Bowl rematch that we saw back in the Superdome between Joe Flacco and Colin Kaepernick. It would be San Francisco taking on Baltimore, both the number 1 overall seeds. Getting a number 1 seed is just so important. You're the only team that gets that bye. It's such a huge advantage. I mean, look at Baltimore's playoff road so far. They've beaten Houston at home, and they're 1 game away from the Super Bowl. That's why getting that first round bye is so absolutely massive. When it comes to potential upset, I think that the Chiefs obviously are far more likely to upset Baltimore than the Lions are to upset San Francisco. I feel very confident about San Francisco being in the Super Bowl, but you could make the case, maybe the NFL, they want the whole band, they want Taylor Swift, to be at the Super Bowl. It's great for marketing. The ratings are already going to be ridiculous anyways because it is the Super Bowl, but of course that would help even more. I'm not saying they're going to rig it or anything like that, but it is something to think about. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.